Hi guys, welcome to this week's update on my Mounjaro slash Trizepetide journey, GLP-1 journey. This week would be week 24 for me. I would have started my uh, week 24 shot today. I actually took my medication this morning, um, the 13th of February 2026. However, as you know, I normally do. I don't normally tell you what happened in the week that I'm taking my shot. I usually give you of course, it's an update. Self-explanatory. I don't know why I thought I needed to do that. But I'm in week 24 as at the 13th of February, which is today. Took my shot today. And my intention, as always, is to give you updates on the week or weeks prior to the day that I take my shot. So I will be giving you an update on week 22 and 23. Boy, every time I say this, like literally, I am thinking to myself, how did I even get to week 24? Like I literally just started this thing a couple days ago. That's how it feels. I know for many they will say absolutely not, but that is how it literally feels for me. Like, especially when I say the number. Anyway, let me do some housekeeping, some proper stuff. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who've been here with me for at least 23 weeks, or at least 20 weeks, welcome back. I am Shelly, and this is Conversations with Shelly. Now, Conversations with Shelly is my weekly YouTube channel where I speak about topics that are provocative. Sometimes I make it serious, sometimes I don't. And in that mix, I've decided to chronicle my journey on a GLP-1 medication. Now, for those of you, as I said, have never been here, don't know what I'm about, don't know where I'm from, don't know nothing, I decided to do this as part of this channel's progress and growth because I was enlightened by other persons within the community, within this very space, on what this particular protocol could do for so many of us with so many health conditions that sometimes we give up, you know. And this was just one of the many things that grabbed my attention here on this very social media platform. And I said, okay, let's pay it forward. Let's put another voice to this miraculous medication and this protocol that is assisting so many, whether you are insulin resistant, whether you are type 2 diabetic, whether you have inflammation issues, whether you have PCOS, whether you are suffering from any number of things that this particular receptor or these particular receptors and pathways, these varying protocols are able to assist with. So do check them out, see what it is about, see how best it can help you. But of course, as always, I'm no medical doctor by any one's imagination, even if you stretch it and worst so mine. Well, come to think of it, sometimes I do wish I was a medical doctor, but I'm not. So what I tell you here is just my hopes, dreams, desires, and of course my own experience. And for those of you who want to know, so what do you do? I am an attorney at law, but of course I'm not here to talk about anything legal. As I said, I'm just here to talk about my journey on a GLP-1, Mounjaro. That's it. Okay, that out the way, let's get into my weekly update. And as I said, this week is going to be week 22 and week 23 wrapped up in one because, as per usual, I tell you all the time, life happens. It's always lifing, and sometimes we just miss the markers and we fall off the turnip truck, we fall off the wagon. I'm not talking about turnip truck. When you fall off a turnip truck, you're not dumb. Anyway, we're not falling off a no turnip truck here. But you fall off the bandwagon or you fall off that, and you have to get yourself back up. And this is my get yourself back up. And I just jumped 2 weeks into one another and I just decided to talk about it. Okay? So let's talk about my week 22 update. So my week 22 update started on the 31st of January and it ended on the 5th of February. So that's the 7 day span. Now, for that particular week, as I would have mentioned in the previous update, which would have been week 19 and 20, and you can go back and look at those updates. I've been stalling for quite some time, and I did explain to you what is understood to be a stall and what is understood to be a plateau, right? By virtue of what we now know by definitions and medical insight, or just general insight. I don't want to say medical insight because of course it wasn't a doctor who defined what a plateau is, but certainly um, when your weight is at a particular standstill point for more than 4 weeks, then especially if you're on a weight loss journey, then it's considered to be a plateau or a stall, right? Um, so for about 3 to 4 weeks, or at least heading into week 4, I have been at the same weight for the last 4 weeks, minimum three. And this would have started from about week 18. So it would have been week 18, week 19, week 20, week 21. And now I'm reporting on week 22 and week 23. And I am still at the same weight. So I've now officially can say that I have plateaued or I have stalled. Now, there are many ways you can break a stall. I have been in calorie deep, what you call it, restrictive. I've been on a calorie restrictive diet for more than enough of that 6 weeks. So one of the things that can assist in creating that break is to increase your calorie intake, because of course you know what happens when you plateau or when you stall is your body trying to hold on to the energy and the fuel that it has, because you're not feeding it, you're not giving it what it needs in order to continue, and because it feels that you're starving your system, it is holding on to as much of that energy, as much as that fuel as possible, and that's what's happening. But to break it, increase your calorie and you break it. The I want to say this: the reality of being on a GLP-1 is that you really want to increase your caloric intake, but it's really so difficult. So I've always said in my journey, you have to be adult about this thing. At some point in time, your adult thing just have to kick in, and you just have to tell yourself, say, listen, you're a big girl now, you're a big boy now, eat something. Yeah, because nobody not gonna force you. You have to force yourself. So the reality for me is that while I am trying to break my plateau and my stall so that the scales can actually move, albeit I'm non-scale victories, but we are all here. Sorry, we are all here for a particular purpose. And the purpose for being on a GLP-1 for me was paramount to deal with my blood glucose levels, right? But as a byproduct of dealing with that particular medical condition, I found out that, hey, on the international scale, you're also obese because your BMI is over 25. Now, child, picture you been told, okay, you need to control your insulin because this thing may get out of control, you know. And then you're being told, okay, not only may you need to control your insulin, but you are may need also control some obesity issue, right? So you know your girl went into damage control mode because she say, you just need to tell me once. Me not have to learn once. And me get the picture, the point, and everything, and me just start put things into motion. So that was the basis of that. I know a lot of times we don't talk about the other things that the the other awesome benefits and things that GLP-1s assist us with. And I think a lot of it is because it has been so designed and crafted to be called a weight loss drug that a lot of persons don't even realize that it assists with. This drug particularly started to assist persons with pre-diabetes and diabetic statuses. Let's get that clear. The benefit of the drug for the pre-diabetic people and the diabetic people was that they saw significant weight loss. And of course, big farmers just got into it and said, okay, we can actually put a spin to this. We can actually serve another set of the market. We can actually design a GLP-1 and slash on for obesity, because obesity is also a chronic and progressive disease. So let's be clear as to what this is. This is not just a weight loss medication. And for those persons who continue to think that, okay, this is just something that a lot of people are doing because they're lazy or they don't want to do it the right way, and we need to correct you on that. A lot of these things started with actually being a diabetic drug to assist, as I said, with a lot of pre-diabetes issues or a lot of pre-diabetic related indicators, and then as a byproduct, weight loss happened, right? But I don't talk about the other stuff because, of course, 60, 70, 80% of the world is obese, and that seems to be the marker that leads to a lot of other these comorbidities or these other conditions. So it is easier to discuss this from the point of obesity, because as one of the chronic and progressive diseases, persons, you get their ear much quicker if you talk about the obesity aspect of it, because of course, as I said, the obesity aspect of it is really the top marker, and then everything else is a byproduct of being obese. So you are hypertensive because you're obese. You are diabetic because you're obese. You have inflammation because you're obese. You have PCOS because you're obese. So a lot of these conditions actually start from obesity. I'm rambling, but that's the basis why this is now called a weight loss drug. But let me tell you, it wasn't intended for that purpose initially, right? That being said, let's talk about week 22 for me. As I said, started on January 31st, ended on the 5th of February. And I was, during that very first day, taking my shot, I was 158.4, 158.4, 158.8. And for the entire week 22, and for the entire week 23, I remained at 158.8, 158.4. So I was maybe zero point 0.4 up and down depending on the day, right? I was not too happy about that. But as I said, weight loss is not linear. You don't expect to just be doing this all the time. Sometimes it's going to go up, then you're going to go down, then you're going to go up and down. So to think and to set yourself in a position to think that you're always going to be doing this and it's always going to go in the direction that you want it to go is, of course, a fallacy. And this particular update is going to remind you that it's not. It's not designed that way. Your body is doing all kinds of things when you are losing weight. And yes, you want to see the scales move and you want to see the actual numbers move in the scale, but sometimes things are happening otherwise. And this is when we come on here to see there are non-scale victories that are taking place. You may be seeing collarbones, you may be seeing a slimmer face, you may be seeing inches lost from your arms or from your thighs or from your tummy, whatever it is. I keep saying that I have so much things to do for you guys. Like, I can literally show you, like, I think I'm going to do that next time. Guys, hold me accountable to doing that. What my previous, maybe like a pant size used to be, or even my belt. I think that's probably easier to take with me to the office. I can take a belt and show you how many holes I have punched in that belt from August 18 to February 13, 2026, right? And you will see the amount of inches I have lost since then. And that is just my way of reminding myself how far I've come and how much this is a journey for a reason. It is said to be a journey for a reason because it's so unpredictable and you don't know what's going to happen, and it's not something that is instantaneous. It's something that's going to take you some time, and you have to give yourself grace as you go through it. So please, guys, those of you are considering going on a GLP-1 for whatever the reason is, once you discuss it with your medical provider, you will also need to mentally clock in that this is a journey. All right. So non-scale victories come with it too, okay? All right. So as I said, for the entire 2 weeks, 22, 23, fluctuated between 158, 1, no, guys. Yeah, 158.8. There was about, why do I feel like it's 156? Hold a second, guys. Trusted, trusted Trizepetide journal. This will tell me what happened. Okay, correction on that one. You see why you need a journal? So for week 22, I was 156.8, not 158.8, 156.8, and I fluctuated for the last 2 weeks, 22 and 23.4 up and down. So, like we start over. Week 22 and week 23, I remained in a plateau at the weight of 156.8, where I fluctuated between 156.8 and 156.4. So there was either zero point 0.4 up or zero point 0.4 down for the 2 week period. That out of the way. The appetite suppression on my 7.5 milligram of Trizepetide was awesome. I'm still feeling that appetite suppression at about an 8 out of 10 on a scale, which means that I'm able to go through my week not really considering food or anything like that. Now let me tell you, um, I had to over the 2 weeks remind myself always to eat, particularly by proteins, because as I tell you, the side effects of this particular weight loss and not the drug, let's be clear, is that you lose muscle mass and you also lose hair. For me, that has been one of my side effects in the latter parts of this journey, right? So the appetite suppression on point 8 out of 10 for the last 2 weeks, have not had the desire to eat, which is expected on these medications, especially if you're at a particular certain dose. Well, more so from my experience and what I've gone through on the medication, right? But being the responsible adult that I want to be, I try to maintain my protein and my water intake. Now, that is a recommendation for the hair loss and everything else that is going on because, as I tell you, the follicles are traumatized and you go into this thing called something like efflusia. Comment down below if you know what the name called when your hair starts shed 3 months after you start drastic weight loss. That is the thing. So the principle or the medical thing that happens when you lose weight drastically is hair loss, and there's a particular name for it, but it only shows up 3 months after. So you may start your weight loss. In my case, I started in August, right? I didn't see hair loss happening until recently. And when I check it out, I realize, say, it's 3 months after the ear properly traumatized from the root and the follicles, them that it just decides, say, 3 months after you do this to my body and my little roots and my little nourishment, you're gonna just fall out of your head. Sorry, guys. Random ramble started kicking already. But yeah, so that started to happen as a side effect for me. Let me tell you what my side effects were for week 22 and week 23. So as I said, there's been continued weight loss, sorry, hair loss. I have significant insomnia. Girl can't sleep to save her life. If sleep was to save my life, I'd have been dead because she ain't sleeping at all. However, here's the ironic and flip side to that's insomnia. My energy level has not changed. My energy level is still the same. What am I telling you, guys? Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I am actually vlogging and you're on the vlog. All right, guys, just chaos here. The reason why I can't stop it is because I can't edit. So if I stop it, I don't know how to put it back together. Okay. And I really should have put my phone on silent. But we're family. You know the mess that's me, right? Yeah. So insomnia. No, as I was saying, the ironic thing about my insomnia is that my levels of tiredness, meaning, when people don't get sleep, them can't function the next day. That is not what happened to me. I will not be experiencing insomnia on this thing and me get up same way like everybody else. As a matter of fact, a friend, well, not a friend, I use friend very loosely. Somebody said to me today, boy, you look like today's Monday. And I'm going, what? So, of course, me have to say, really? And the person said to me, yeah, you look like, look like your week just done. You look like you just start your week. And I said to myself, if you only know the numbers, the hours of sleep what me get, less than 3 hours a night time. God bless if me get four. But apparently, I don't know what happens with this medication. You're not able to sleep, but you're able to get up and function same way. Well, that's my experience. Let me just make that very clear. Another side effect across the 2 weeks has been dry mouth. Now, I don't know how ironic it is. I literally just took a sip of water. Dry mouth and thirst have been finding itself and has been presenting itself very frequently over this side of my life to the point where, and this is a good thing because it forces me to drink water. So the dry mouth is one of those side effects that I don't mind because it reminds me to drink water and ensure that I take my water, yeah? But the dry mouth, something there turn up into the recent times. It never used to happen before. Now, being cold, again, it's another side effect that I've noticed very recently. And I think I offered an explanation based on what I spoke with my provider about as well as my general doctor, where all of the thermal fat that used to the insulation that we used to have when we were much more, you know, fluffy, because those are no longer part of our body and we're not being insulated anymore by that kind of insulation. I don't want to say fat, but it is what it is. Because we're no longer insulated by that insulation, then you feel colder more often than not. Like I will literally be in a space and everybody is fanning and doing all of that. And that was me. That was the girl before. I was the one who said, Lord, turn on the AC, turn on the fan, fanning, fanning, fanning. Now I'm the girl who is going, it's so cold. Guys, turn on the AC. And everybody is going, are you mad? Because these are people that knew me and they know that she's always at. Sometimes me to think me in a constant menopause. Always at. Mm? So, see, the thirst is real. So that has been happening. Now, I want to do some noticeable mentions along the way. Now, I had a conversation with my provider recently, and because of where I'm at, one, I'm no longer considered to be obese. That's the first thing, based on the standard definition or the matrix or marker that they use to determine obesity. Yeah. So I'm no longer considered to be obese. However, I am now being asked to consider what maintenance looks like. Now, I've known this to be something that I would have to consider at some point in time. What would maintenance look like for me now that I'm at a particular goal weight now? I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert. I'm now in week 24 as at today, the 13th of February. And as of today, when I took my medication, I was 151 pounds. However, that was a spoiler alert for the next update. So don't let us dwell here too much, yeah? And I will remind myself that I already spoiled it here. So I did lose, yeah? So now I'm being asked to consider maintenance because I would have reached the weight that a lot of persons, including my providers, thinking is okay for me to come off the aggressive dose or the dose that I'm now on and find myself in a maintenance dose. Now, what will my maintenance dose look like? I'm still trying to figure that out because The truth is, I don't want to be losing weight at this particular point in time that is considered to be unhealthy. I don't want to go into the unhealthy nor weight loss portion of the scale because, of course, when you're over, then you're unhealthy, but you can also be unhealthy being under. So I don't particularly want to be unhealthy by being underweight. So I have to now consider and put in my mind the whole maintenance discussion or the whole thing about maintaining where I'm at now. But I am still a little bit concerned because I don't have a goal weight. I didn't when I started and I don't when I'm ending. But I do have a goal size. Now, a lot of persons have asked me, what is that size? Is it an 8, a 9, a 10? And I keep saying, or is it a small, a medium, or a large? And I keep saying, my goal size is determined. And this, guys, please don't, I hope you don't laugh off when I say this. My goal size is based on a particular blouse or a particular shirt, a blouse or a top, depending on however you understand it from wherever you're watching. So I have a particular blouse or a particular top that once I fit into it comfortably, that's where I'll stop. Is the blouse a small, medium, or large? I'll tell you it is a large. But there are other blouses that I fit into that are small. So I'm not judging my maintenance weight as either a 8, 9, or 10, nor am I judging it based on a small, medium, or large. I'm judging it on my ability to fit in that blouse. No. You see, once I can fit into that blouse, me stop. Any day me fit in that blouse and I can just throw it on over my head and my arms them can go in there and them not feel restricted and I can turn 2 times so. That's the weight. That's when I maintain and that's when I start lowering back my dose. So let us just be clear on that. Because I keep hearing, you don't need to go any further, you don't need to go, but I can't fit in my blouse. And my blouse very important for me fit in. So until me can fit in the blouse there, me not know wait to tell you what it is. What I can tell you is that until I fit into that blouse, that is my goal weight. Okay. So let us talk about week 23. Now, I've been talking about week 23 back and forth between as a amalgamation of week 22 because pretty much the same things happen, right? But let me just give you some dates. So week 23 for me started on the 6th of February and it ended yesterday, the 12th of February. And as I mentioned, I maintained that weight 156 right up until this morning. And I was pleasantly surprised, but I gave that away already anyway. So I maintained that right up until this morning when I went, whoop, did the medication just did that just like that? And I thought, could the medication literally just cause that? I don't think so, right? But it's my shot day and I jumped from 156 to where I am as at week 24. Not spoiling that again for you guys. So, went through week 23, same weight, 156.4, 156.8. Appetite suppression, still 8 out of 10. Wasn't finding any desire to eat anything. Thirst was still there. Experienced non-scale victories, as I said, my belt. I keep having to move the holes and punch new holes in my belt. My side effects were the same. Still having hair loss going on. You can see in a minute now, hair is gonna just be shine as my forehead. I'm concerned, but guys, I'm taking my medication and I'm doing my topicals things and all of that jazz. Dry mouth very much still present, as you can see. Water is always with me. No real GI issues to talk about. The insomnia, I explained that already. And I explained the freeze and the cold, but something else happened, guys, and I'm very mindful of the time, so let me just quickly say this. I am extremely calm. Now, somebody need to tell me what has happened, why I am so calm these days. Like nothing Nothing really ruffled my feathers. I don't know if that is the medication or that is just me getting older and just realizing I ain't taking on the world no more. She, no more a superwoman. Anybody we want to say what they want to say, anybody want to do, they have to go and do it because me just not better. But I found myself over the last maybe 2 weeks to be very calm. Like, do what you want to do, dude. Do you. I'll do me, and we'll just keep it pressing. So I noticed as something, but I don't think it's a side effect. If it is God, I will be taking GLP-1s forever because people used to really bother me. Yeah, I'm telling us, I keep it real right here, you know. Yeah, like simple things like, why are you walking there? Why are you breathing? Gosh, you breathe. Guys, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, guys. But I've been extremely calm these days. So if that's the medication that is bringing about that calm, yeah, I'm just going to consider continuing for as long as it can until the wheels fall off this wagon. All right, guys, I think that is it for my week 22 and 23 updates on my Mounjaro slash Trizepetide journey. Week 22, 23 update, all the shenanigans, all the things that happen. Thank you for joining for the updates. And of course, today is Friday, so you know what's going to happen next. My random rambles. Thank you for sticking and staying. See you on the other side of where this chaos really begins.